The association started with a meeting in 1988, and it was Drew Paley's idea to create what was then called the Association for the Study and Application of the Methods of Ilizarov, North America.
So it became very important to have this forum where all of us that were engaged in what initially was essentially exclusively deformity correction and lengthening by external fixation could advance that subject. And I think the society has been and continues to be very important in that regard. It's obviously evolved from a SAMI to the Limb Lengthening Reconstruction Society, which is a much more appropriate name, although we always have to preserve the memory and the contributions of Professor Ilizarov himself.
As a remnant of the old name, if you look at the logo, you'll see written around the edge is not only Limb Lengthening and Reconstruction Society, but on the other half it says the Association for the Study and Application of the Methods of Ilizarov. So the logo represents both names.
It was an interesting time because we had a difficult time the first half of the organization's history, not only in membership, but financially being able to be solvent for each of the meetings. And actually, when I became president, we were kind of almost financially destitute.
To be on the board in the first place, you have to have, I think, 100 members is the minimum. And in the early days, we were teetering around that kind of number. In fact, a few times I think we dipped a little bit below. We didn't tell anybody. So we maintained our membership, and now I think we're 130, 140, 150, something like that, so we have no problem anymore.
Part of my presidency goals was to make sure that the next president, Will McKenzie, didn't lose the sleep that I lost during my presidency, and I'm delighted to hear that we're way past that point.
Well, it's kind of a unique organization in orthopedics in the sense that it really spans probably several other specialties. It has trauma members in it, it has foot and ankle members, pediatrics.
In that it brings together surgeons who were classically trained in other disciplines such as pediatrics, trauma, foot and ankle, tumor, and we can all come together in this common field of just limb reconstruction or limb deformity correction.
And I see the value of the organization is to basically disseminate this very, very important technology and information. And as each year goes by, being able to pass that on to the next generation of surgeons, I think is very, very important. And it's just not like lengthening. I think we've seen the organization grow from a simple lengthening society to a reconstructive society to encompassing all aspects of pediatric orthopedics, trauma orthopedics, and basically limb reconstruction. So I'm real happy and proud to be a member of this organization.
LLRS is such a society that it's small enough and it's eclectic enough that you not only grow relatively fast professionally, but also you develop a lot of good relationships. And there's a lot of crosstalk. By that I mean, like, there's pediatrics, there are people who do trauma, who do reconstruction, foot and ankle, and also a lot of international members. So I enjoy that diversity in both professional subspecialties as well as talking to international colleagues.
I feel like our society really represents a very unique group of people who do very innovative work, very cutting-edge work in the field of limb lengthening and deformity correction.
It's a wonderful society, in part because it's not so large that you still have that intimacy, the ability to discuss cases with experts, to get to know people on a first-name basis. It also has a large international component, which I think is wonderful, because in one meeting, in a fairly short time, you can really understand all the wonderful things that are going on in the world with limb lengthening reconstruction.
Because of how intimate the group is, it really has provided me with mentors for my career to be able to integrate this type of a practice into my trauma practice. I'm a full-time trauma surgeon, and to be able to integrate complex limb deformity and limb lengthening into that practice, I think is only possible through organizations like LLRS that have helped provide those mentors and counselors when things go wrong, and that peer group of thought leaders in the field that have helped really continue this field and progress it to where we are today.
The LLRS, to me, represents an opportunity to learn from and to benefit from those North American surgeons who were on the first wave, who actually traveled to Italy and traveled to Kurgan, and really learn from the originators, and that this next generation that won't have the opportunity to do that, to be with Professor LLRS, can still learn from these North American originators. And so we have this opportunity really to stand on the shoulders of the giants who saw this very valuable technique and were the forefront of the leaders that brought it to North America.
And I think we can't talk about LLRS without talking about the pioneers who sort of initiated this whole thing and put LLRS on the map. And I think people like Jim Binsky, Stu Green, and Roar Paley really come to mind, and I'm sure there's many, many others, such as George Cerny and John Herzenberg and John Birch, to name a few.
Well, one of the mentors that is important to me is sitting right here in the room waiting to have his turn is Dr. Jim Binsky, and over the years has been a guide, both directly and indirectly, just watching what he's done throughout his career and how thoughtful he is on limb lengthening reconstruction, and some of the other senior members, past presidents, that participate in some of the symposiums as well.
I was personally inspired by George Cerny. He was a real mentor to me. I was inspired by the way he carried himself and the way he spoke at meetings and the contributions that he made to our society and to the field of orthopedics in general. He was a real gentleman, he was a scholar, and in many ways he was a mentor to an entire generation of people, including myself.
When I talk about Dr. Cerny and Dr. DiPasquale, I smile because they were such great mentors through this organization for me. And you know, really, I had such a great interest in bone infection, and so I really relied on them a lot for their leadership in that field.
Within the Limb Lengthening Reconstruction Society, I've been particularly fortunate. From an academic and clinical standpoint, Rich Davidson was the first person that got me involved. But as soon as I entered, I was welcomed by numerous people, and literally anyone who's anyone in limb lengthening reconstruction has passed through the society, often as president or on the board or just as members, and everyone's reached out to me.
We have had giants in the field, and really I stand on the shoulder of these giants. You know, people like Tracy Watson, my mentor, Mark Dahl, David Lowenberg, George Cerny, Charles Taylor, Dror Paley, and of course Gavril Abramovich or Lizaroff, really the base of the entire society.
If I look back to 25 years ago, we were all rookies, and we were almost dangerous. We were enthusiastic, but we also knew that there was good stuff that we could do that we couldn't do before.
It's very dynamic. You know, what we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago is completely different than what we're doing today. So that new technology and the new techniques that have been imparted into orthopedics by a very small group of people are amazing.
The prospect is very bright. You're going to have happier patients, you're going to have fewer problems, and you're going to wonder why is it that the old-timers talk about the difficulties so much when, in fact, with reasonable amount of caution and with a lot of knowledge, we can overcome virtually all of these problems now and have successful outcomes without a lot of gray hairs associated with the procedure.
People that are not only enthusiastic but open with their knowledge and willing to share of themselves and of their patients so that we can learn and continue this knowledge through future generations.
I think the future will be even more forward-thinking than it is now. I think there are technologies that we haven't even come to grips with, and perhaps this may spill into the biologics as well.
I think the future of LLRS, as I said, is very bright. It is expanding. It is not only a ring fixator anymore. It is a multiplanar straight fixator. It is a lengthening rod. It is techniques. It is biology of the bone.
And so I think we have a great opportunity as we move forward to really perhaps better and redefine ourselves.
And I think one of the most challenging parts is the size of our society. So I think we need to encourage more members, more residents and fellows to join our society. And I think that can only happen with education and more exposure.
So I would really encourage the young generation of physicians and surgeons who are interested in limb lengthening and deformity correction, the principles of distraction osteogenesis, limb salvage work, internal fixation, external fixation, limb reconstruction, whether you're interested predominantly in pediatrics or in adult deformity or in trauma or in foot and ankle or even in tumor or upper extremity, there is a very important and unique role that this society can play in your development of this as a subspecialty.
Because there's not very many people that do this kind of work, you really need to connect with people so that you can share problems, you can share cases, you can interact socially, and the LLRS is clearly the best way to do that.
I think the future of the LLRS is very bright. I see us sitting at the table with the other big groups at the Academy, having our own page in the book for the Academy, where having our own section at the poster presentation. I mean, I think that that's what we're striving for right now, and that eventually we'll get there.
Yeah, I think the society, I've seen the society from its onset grow, struggle with membership, but now we've generated enough interest and these techniques have become more and more important to orthopedists around the world and also in the U.S. now that we're not considered kind of on the fringe. I think we're more considered on innovators, and we got young people that are absolutely brilliant. Work they do is just phenomenal from what I see, and I just see really good things going on in the future here, and the more and more people we get involved, which every year seems to be greater and greater, and throughout the world and through the international society as well, I think we're on good, firm grounds, and the future looks good.